Hey folks, welcome back. Today we're diving into the Age of Annihilation with our second common army expansion set, the Molten Crustaceans and Tanuki Tricksters. Firstly, I want to thank Renegade Game Studios for sending me these figures to review on my channel. I'll leave unaffiliated links to the items I talk about today in the video description. Last time we looked at the Revenant Acolytes and Gravegrim, so I'll leave a link to that video as well. If you're familiar with modern Heroescape offerings, you might already know that each army expansion set can be purchased with either premium painted or unpainted figures within. Since I'm not a painter by any stretch, we're going to be looking at the pre-painted figures today. Within this army expansion set, we receive two common squads, as well as some lava terrain for gameplay purposes. Let's start our discussion by taking a look at the reason for its inclusion, the Molten Crustaceans. Scavengers by nature, the Molten Crustaceans are prone to picking up makeshift weapons littering the battlefields of Valhalla. From chains, to hammers, to knives, these lava crabs should be approached cautiously, if at all. To give them their fiery texture, the figures are uniquely molded in translucent red plastic. It's important to note that the unpainted figures do not get this special treatment, and are molded in gray plastic like all the rest. I can understand if this is disappointing news, but it's entirely in keeping with the precedent we've already seen. Figures like Rakchot or the Hellforge are molded in colored plastic, then painted over. Their unpainted counterparts, however, are simply gray. While I'm talking about the physical figures, I should also mention a bit of a common issue I experienced with them. They tend to wobble. A lot. I had already bought several sets before Renegade sent me a review copy, and I still plan on buying a few more because I enjoy them so much. With that being said though, every set I bought had this issue, and I think it has something to do with how hard the plastic insert grips the figures. If we look here, we can see a consistent pattern of damage. The plastic insert just squeezes the bases too hard and causes them to warp in the packaging. It's a real shame because the figures look and feel great otherwise. Regardless, this is a small issue. The figures are beefy enough that they don't run the risk of falling over, and the wobble itself is little more than a mild annoyance. I felt it necessary to point out here for maximum transparency, but it's not going to stop me from buying more crabs. In short, I love this squad. I love playing this squad, I love fighting this squad, and it's not just because they're silly little crabs with knives. I'm honestly a big fan of their army card design too. Let's take a look at it now. With perhaps the most baseline stats you could dream up, there's really nothing on the stat block that telegraphs what their primary strength is. Indeed, they kind of seem to be decent at everything, but not particularly well suited to anything. They come with a built-in boost to their ability to climb higher terrain obstacles, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. More significantly, they receive immunity to all types of lava. Thematic and relevant given their name. However, neither of these abilities alone make a strong case for the lava crabs. The real reason to draft the Molten Crustaceans within your army is solely due to their unique and battlefield-altering power, Volcanic Carapace. Each time a Molten Crustacean is killed by a normal attack or leaving engagement attack, you must roll the d20. If you roll a 1 through 18, place a lava field tile on the space where the crustacean was destroyed. If you roll a 19 or higher, place a molten lava tile instead. Now, this terraforming potential has been tapped by a couple of heroes before, namely Mika and Iwashia. The former allowed you to place shadow tiles, and the latter allowed you to place water tiles. However, both figures capped out at 3 tiles each, whereas the Molten Crustaceans are limited only by the number of figures you can draft in your army. Grafting a terraforming ability onto a common squad was sure to ruffle the feathers of some veteran Heroescape players, but I will say that this veteran Heroescape player loves this decision. While it's certainly mold-breaking and arguably inconducive to tournament play, competitive formats are only half the appeal of Heroescape. Between their easy-to-understand abilities, basic stat block, and fun tile-placing gimmick, I think this is a great squad design for casual fans or younger players. Even if you're losing, it often doesn't feel like you're losing, given how much of an impact your crabs are making on the map. Having fun in defeat is a tough trick for a miniatures game to pull off, especially when it involves kids. This is the closest Heroescape has ever come, if you ask me. Of all the Age of Annihilation figures released so far, the Molten Crustaceans have far and away been the real showstoppers in my opinion. I host a lot of events where new players can try out the game, and passerbys are always drawn to the crab army. I think Renegade was wise to design a campy, casual, comedic, and cute squad like this. If the squad design itself wasn't enough, the box also contains 1 molten lava and 3 lava field tiles within. These are intended to be used alongside the molten crustaceans for their death effect, but if you ever find yourself playing a game without the crabs, then there's nothing stopping you from utilizing this terrain within the map. This added bit of value shouldn't go unnoticed, and I think it helps make this common army expansion one of the best products Renegade has released so far. You'll need quite a few copies if you want to run a massive crab army, but even 1 or 2 will have a significant impact on smaller collections. And there's still one more common squad contained within to talk about. The Tanuki Tricksters continue the thematic charm of this set with their lighthearted origins. As Vorids summoned by Valorak, they came to Valhalla from Nox Dorma. However, these furry fellas quickly became enamored with the various ninja heroes fighting in the battle of all time. Employing the sincerest form of flattery, the Vorids became total weebs, and the Tanuki Tricksters were born. As a 2-figure common squad, the Tanuki Tricksters are coming out of the gate fighting an uphill battle. 2-figure squads have historically underperformed compared to their 3- or 4-figure peers. Less figures means less activations, less attacks, less dice rolled, etc. It can be a difficult hurdle for an army card design to overcome. The Tanuki Tricksters tackle this issue in 2 ways. Firstly, their stat line is great. 6 move with a range of 4 gives them plenty of hexes to threaten, and their 3 attack paired with 4 defense is above average for common squads. Blow for blow, the Tricksters can throw down with the best. Secondly, the Tanuki Tricksters bring some unique powers into the mix. Their first ability, Nagewaza, allows them to move an opponent's adjacent small or medium figure 1 space with a d20 roll of 9 or higher. The ability to move your opponent's figures is rare, and the fact that this power finds itself on a common army card makes it all the more potent. You can push your quarry onto low ground, or into lava left behind from the Molten Crustaceans, if your opponent is foolish enough to be standing nearby. You can also trigger leaving engagement attacks from your other figures. The Tanuki Tricksters themselves cannot make these attacks, but that doesn't stop any of your other troops from doing so. Longtime fans of Heroescape might even think of Sir Denric and the Knights of Weston, as their A Coward's Reward ability allows you to roll 2 attack dice whenever your opponent leaves an engagement. I'm definitely carrying water for old Denric, but I think his pair of abilities have a lot of utility in modern Heroescape. There are a ton of new huge figures that his giant killer power would be great for taking down, and A Coward's Reward plays beautifully with Nagewaza. Mayhaps a modern reimagining of this character is in order, mayhaps. The second ability that the Tanuki Tricksters bring to the table is the humorously named Tanuki Aruki. After taking a turn with the Tricksters, you can move 2 small or medium Vorid or Ninja figures you control that did not move this turn up to 3 spaces each. This pseudo-movement bonding allows you to activate more than 2 figures per turn, which is often the one thing holding a 2-figure squad back. It's not full ninja bonding, something that I still hope to see one day, but it's also not nothing. In fact, some ninjas really benefit from this power. My favorite to use it with is Shiori. Her special attack requires her to already be within 2 clear sight spaces of her target prior to activation. Rather than wasting order markers trying to run her into the fight, inch her up slowly along with your Tricksters using Tanuki Aruki. It's not a combo that's going to win you Gen Con, but that has more to do with the weaknesses of Shiori, not the Tricksters. The last power they bring to the table is a staple among ninjas, Phantom Walk. The Tanuki Tricksters can move through opponents' figures and are never attacked when leaving an engagement. This allows them to flex their 6 move even further, or even Aruki out of danger without fear of counterattack. Overall, the Tanuki Tricksters are not what I expected them to be, but I've really grown to love them as I've played more and more armies they inhabit. Their trash panda look is endearing, and their abilities present a welcome challenge to play optimally. They have a lot of tools at their disposal, but how to make the most of each in every situation is the question. Their solid stat line helps keep them viable though, even if you're like me and you forget to Tanuki Iruki on some turns. They pair well with the Molten Crustaceans, not necessarily in gameplay, but in theming. This is a light-hearted common army expansion, and I think it succeeds in bringing a lot of value to the table. The only hesitation I have in recommending it full-throatedly is that you'll need quite a few copies to get the most out of these common squads. Both army cards contained within are 45 points, meaning that you're more likely to run out of start zone spaces before you run out of points to spend. Unlike the Revenant Acolytes and Gravegrim, this is a common army expansion that benefits greatly from owning multiple copies, so you'll want to keep that in mind if you're looking to build the most optimal army using either. While a casual player with a smaller collection will definitely get decent mileage from even 2 copies, competitive builds are likely to use up to 7. My recommendation is to start small, or even proxy the figures first before committing. While this is one of my favorite HeroScape releases to date, it might not be yours. Don't blindly follow the word of a slug on the internet. Thanks for watching, everyone. I've been your host, RR Slugger, and until next time, happy scaping.